Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. So I am doing, this is part 2 of the Crusades by Dr. Roy, and I had done this video that I'm about to do now. I did it about a month ago, and as soon as I did it, it saved. I went to change the title to the Crusades on my thing, accidentally hit delete, had to go into the recycling bin, bring it back out, and it got corrupted. So I waited a month. Of course you won't know that, but I'm telling you, I waited a month from fart 1 to redoing this one, so that I would, and I do videos all in one day, so I pretty much forgot about everything. I had to rewatch the end of the video to see where I paused it. So I'm going to be rewatching this one and reacting to it after a month. And fortunately, I've already forgotten the beginning part of this. So we're going to go ahead and do this one now, and then I'm going to make some food. But that's not for you to know. So let's get into part 2 now. And by the way, I'm breaking them down into 15-minute videos. Oh, my head itches now.
The majority of the Roman Empire, and they're in France, trying to conquer France. It was the Battle of Tours. 732 is in my head. I hope that's not wrong. This empire has a problem. Arabs don't know how to run an empire. They've never run an empire before. Normally conquerors are arrogant and they're cruel and they're sadistic, like take the Romans. So I'm part Italian. So for those of you that don't like being mean to Italians, a little bit, but it's okay. Gaius Julius Caesar, the guy you incorrectly called Julius Caesar, when he conquered Gaul, there were 3 million people living in Gaul. When he left, there was 1 million people living in Gaul. He murdered 1 million, he enslaved 1 million, and then he looked at the remaining million and went, "Welcome to the Republic. By the way, we'd like for you to worship our gods. Let's have your taxes now. Oh, and we're going to steal your technology." That's what conquerors often did, right?
Yeah.
The Arabs, on the other hand, were humble about this. And they told the Romans and the Persians they had conquered, "We don't know what we're doing. We don't know how to do this. We want to just leave you where you are. You're a bureaucrat. You're running this province. Don't stop. And then we'll watch you. Maybe we'll figure it out. But in a few generations, hopefully we'll have this sorted out. In the meantime, I'm going to counterfeit this money over here. It's got crosses on it, but that's okay. I'm okay with that. I like Jesus." And that was kind of their conversation. So
That kind of, I don't know if I said this before, but when you talk about the Muslim conquests, what do you want? My dog is just staring at me. When you talk about the Muslim conquests, one of the things that they did was they would take over an area and then they would pay the people, like they would get all the money, and then they would just pay the people. You know, you're an innocent person, you're a farmer or whatever, here, have some money so that your family's taken care of, you're okay. And all you have to do, just keep growing your crops, live your life. You're under new management, but like you're fine. That's all you have to do. And that's exactly what they did. And like that's respectful, because you're not forcing things onto, oh my goodness. Sorry, I got family coming through. Okay, sorry, it's for my sister. But yeah, like that's respectful. Instead of just coming in and just cutting off heads and stabbing people, you're kind of like, okay, look, we're not mad at you. Just, you're under new management, so just do what you got to do. Here's some cash.
The reason that matters is Muawiyah, I showed you the coin. Muawiyah the first moves the capital after a civil war that lasts 5 years, that ends in 661. He moves the capital to Damascus from Medina. When he puts the capital in Damascus, he puts it in a former Roman city. And that matters because it meant that the bureaucrats around Muawiyah are shaping the policies he's creating, and it orients the Arabs and the Arab Empire west. It orients them towards the Romans. And in fact, he's going to lay siege to Constantinople. He won't capture it. But then a subsequent Arab, the next century, is going to do it again, and they'll fail a second time. Had they captured Constantinople on either of those two, they would have taken out the Romans too, because they had already conquered the Persians. Yazdegerd III was the last Persian emperor. He's gone. The Persians are done. But the Romans are still hanging on. For the record, what saved the Romans was the emperor put out a contest. And he said, anybody who can invent something that can save us, I will give you a sum of money. A Syrian refugee. Isn't that cool? Isn't that weird, a refugee did it? I thought we were supposed to put them in cages. Anyway, a Syrian refugee invented a flamethrower. So what happened was the Roman Navy had a chain blocking the vulnerable north end of Constantinople. They had a chain that went across, so the Arab Navy couldn't get through it. And the Roman Navy was hiding behind the chain, this big chain. And the Romans pulled up the chain, and the Roman Navy started coming out, and the Arabs are like, why are they coming? We'll just sink them. This is suicide. And the Romans came right up on them, and the Arabs had no idea they had flamethrowers, and they just opened up and set the Arab fleet on fire. And that's how they saved Constantinople. Anyway, that's why you should never turn.
Sorry, the air kicked on. I vaguely remember that battle, because I was impressed.
Away Syrian refugees. That is the rule on that one. Or is the rule you should make them? Oh, sorry, I went to a dark place. All right, so in 750, there's a coup d'etat. The Abbasids overthrow the Umayyads, and they move the capital to a brand new city that they've just built on a village. The village is called Baghdad. It's a Persian village, and they move the capital to this city, and they rename it Medina Salam, the city of peace, and they build this amazing fortress system. It's 2-layer fortress system. It's incredible. The city should be impossible to capture. And science and commerce and philosophy pour into the city, art pours into the city, and the city grows really fast and becomes a major city really quickly. But it's in Iraq, which was Persian. Not necessarily ethnically, by the way. There was a huge Arab population in Syria during Roman period and a huge Arab population in Iraq already. What I mean is it was the Persian Empire. But there were also a lot of Persians as well because they were intermingled. Because you got to remember, this is a pre-nationalistic society. It's before people went, oh, my DNA is better than DNA by virtue of my race, right? Or by virtue of my nation. Back then it was, I was born in this city and that makes me better than you. It was city discrimination, which is fun. We have that a little bit. Like whenever a Houstonian walks up to you, you know you frown. Anyway, so.
I feel like you got some looks right there. Since this is in the Austin school, so I'm sure there's some people from Houston that were just like, what? I don't know though. I don't know how it goes down
there. This means that the conversation changes because now it's got a Persian orientation because the Abbasids are surrounded by Persian bureaucrats. And those Persian bureaucrats have two agendas. One, to shift the attention of the Arab Empire east and 2, to destroy it. That is their goal. They are going to break this thing. And the reason is because most of the countries that the Arabs conquered adapted and began to speak Arabic, or at least there was a large population slowly starting to speak Arabic. Like Arabic probably didn't become the major language in Egypt until about 900 AD, but there was already a population of people speaking Arabic for commercial purposes and for political purposes by this point. The Persians weren't learning Arabic. They were holding on to their identity and their language. They had converted to Islam, but they weren't going to convert to being Arab. So right, ethnically, Egyptians aren't actually Arab, but culturally and linguistically, they're 100% Arab. I keep running into conversations with people like, well, Egyptians aren't real Arabs. Oh, do they still speak ancient Egyptian? I missed that. I mean, they do. If you go to a Coptic church and listen to the liturgy, they do it in Coptic. Coptic is ancient Egyptian. Ancient Egyptian is as alive in Egypt as Latin is in Italy. You can hear it. It's not dead, it's just mostly dead, right? And so what it means to be Arab is really more of a linguistic thing than it is an ethnic thing. It's not a DNA thing, it's do you speak Arabic? Well, the Persians rejected that. They refused, they resisted. And so little by little, they start to pick at the Arab Empire from within, because they're the bureaucrats running it now. And pieces of the Arab Empire start to come off. If I remember correctly, the first piece comes off in 756. It's Spain. One of the Umayyads escaped the Abbasids. They massacred the Umayyads. They tried to kill all of them so there would be no rivals out there causing them problems. Well, one of them got away. He snuck through Egypt. He went across North Africa. He went to Spain. And in 756, 6 years after the Abbasid revolt, he pulls Spain out of the empire. And so the empire is already starting to come apart in 756. I think 727 is the next time a major piece comes out, and that's over in Persia. And little by little, the Arab Empire starts to disintegrate. Eventually, it will lose all of North Africa and Persia. And as it's shrinking, the Khalifa, the system where you had a person who was a religious and a political authority, is starting to become symbolic, and they're being replaced by wazirs. They're being replaced by ministers. And so there's actually now a secular leader who's running the show, and the Khalifa is becoming a symbolic leader who's mostly just confined to a palace in Baghdad and has no meaningful role other than to walk around the garden looking pretty. And by the time that happens, it also means that the person who has the best position symbolically to unify people has no political power, which is bad if you're trying to hold things together.
Yeah.
I can't give you an exact date when the Arab Empire stops functioning, but it's pretty finished by 900. I've seen the year 833 used as well. I think you can have an argument about when that's happened. By the time the Buyids are running Baghdad, it's over, right? There's no two ways about it. The Buyids were Persians who had broken out Iraq and a huge chunk of Iran and were ruling it on their own. Then, of course, the reason that matters now is if there's going to be a European invasion down the road, there isn't an empire to stop it. Well, there will be, because I'm going to have to introduce another actor, and it's the Seljuks. In 1037, a group of Turkish warriors begin to conquer the Middle East, and they create an empire to replace the Arab Empire, and that empire is the Seljuk Empire. So, for the record, Turks are from Central Asia. They are in the same cultural linguistic group as Mongolians, Koreans, and the Japanese. I'm going to let you sit on that one for a moment. Take that in. Japanese, Koreans, Mongolians, and Turks are the same cultural linguistic group. Do this as an exercise. Find a Turk and stand them next to a Korean and have the Korean start speaking Korean and have the Turk start speaking Turkish. It is crazy cool. It is very, very super cool. You should totally do this experiment. You can. They exist here in Austin. Just start looking for them. Turks are starting to move into the Middle East for multiple reasons, one of them being they're serving as mercenaries. Another one is they're just looking for land to inhabit. It's a migration. There are immigrants coming in, and by 1037, they're politically in a position where they start conquering. And they end up conquering a huge chunk of the Asian part that the Arab Empire had. I'm making this number up because I never measured it, but they probably ended up with about 30% of the Arab Empire, maybe a little bit more, maybe a third of the Arab Empire. Let me introduce another actor, the Roman Empire. So, I've said this before in lectures, so people who have seen my previous lectures will probably be annoyed with me because I'm just repeating myself, but I have to a little bit because I'm going to assume that you haven't, and that way it makes sense. When I was a kid, when I was an adult, I was taught that the Roman Empire fell on September 4, 476 AD. This is one of my big pet peeves about the way we teach history. The Roman Empire did not fall on September 4, 476 AD. That's just a lie. Like, there's nothing even remotely truthful about it. What happened on September 4 is Romulus Augustus, the Western Roman emperor, took off his purple robes, stuck it in a box with a note attached to the box that said, "We don't need 2 emperors anymore, we just need 1 emperor," and he sent it to Emperor Zeno. Emperor Romulus Augustus was in Ravenna, Italy. That was the capital of the Western Roman Empire at that time. They had long since abandoned Rome. The city of Rome existed. It was largely empty, though. Had 1.5 million people at its height, and at that point there were 40,000 people. Can you imagine?
Okay, I have to pause it. Not to add anything, but because I don't remember much. I probably remembered like little snippets. But I could listen to him. He's just, and I'm supposed to pause and throw in my 2 cents here and there, but I have nothing to add because I'm fascinated with what he's saying. It's really interesting. And I did this a month ago, and I just don't remember it. I don't remember any of it, which is not new. Words, 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 and back to the video.
Imagine walking through the streets of a city that at one point had 1.5 million people, and there's only 40,000 people there. Talk about ghost town.
Yeah.
Like, what was that like? And of course, most of those houses and buildings have collapsed and they're in ruins, but still, that must have just been a trip. Like, we were great once, what happened to us? This is terrible. And then you look at the coins they were striking at the time, and you're like, dude, what happened to your artists? They all died too? Find some artists. So, what happened was the Roman Empire fell on May 29, 1453. So when you were a kid, probably this happened, it happened to me, people would go, we don't know why the Roman Empire fell. Maybe it was the gladiators. They stopped doing the gladiating like centuries earlier, so probably not. Maybe it was the orgies and the eating festivals. They also stopped doing some of that too. I mean, they still had a little bit of that going, but not as much as they did during the Republic. That was the height of that, you know what I mean? Like, that was the good old days. So that's probably not it. Lead pipes. If lead pipes was a problem, we're in trouble. I don't know if you know this, but we have lead pipes in the United States. All the urban centers have lead pipes, as Flint found out.
For anybody outside the U.S., he's referring to Flint, Michigan. Flint, Michigan, I honestly don't even know if it's fixed yet. So the Flint, Michigan water situation was they went off of, what did they go off of? Did they go off of a water reserve, or did they go off of the lake? So anyways, they switched their water. And they switched the water to like river water. But it was the same river that I think General Motors was dumping toxins into the water, if I'm saying this correctly. And so those toxins, they don't stop at the pipe. You know, like, oh, guys, we can't go in there. No, they're just like, yeah, we're in the water now. So they go where the water goes. And people were turning on their faucets at their home and then taking a lighter and lighting it and lighting a fire as the water was coming out. That should be a key sign to not drink said water. They would fill up a glass and it would be dark. People started getting lesions and cancer, and the whole time the city and the politicians, everything, were saying, oh, the water's fine, they're making it up. And those politicians were not drinking that water. You couldn't shower, you couldn't wash your clothes. It was a complete disaster. And I think it got corrected because it got taken out of that and put back into whatever they were doing before. But it corroded the pipes all around the city. And I'm not 100% accurate on it. I'm trying to remember. It's not a good thing, though. We'll go for a little bit further.
So probably not the lead pipes either. For the record, what happens is hard water calcifies the inside of the lead pipes, and then the lead is no longer a problem because there's basically a salt layer inside the pipe protecting you from the lead. But then your city council decides they don't have enough money. Why? Because we went through a tax cutting frenzy because somebody went, taxes are evil. They pay for things like water. What do you mean taxes are evil? Roads. Where do you think roads come from? Schools. Schools are also taxes. Hospitals, scientific research, police departments, fire departments. That's not the Libertarian Ferry that delivers that stuff. That's taxes. Unless you're lucky and you had a bunch of oil, like Texas does. Anyway, but it's okay. We keep our electric grid functioning just as well as Egypt does. So that's amazing. It's fun living in a third world country again. You know what I mean? It's very fun.
So to anyone outside the U.S., I think there's like 3 electrical grids. And Texas has their own. And it fails all the time. Too hot, it shuts down. Too cold, it shuts down. Temperature's just right outside, it shuts down. It is not good. But they are the only state that runs off it. Like I have solar panels, but if I didn't, I would be using Ameren. And I still use Ameren like at night when the sun isn't there, because I didn't get a battery, because the battery was the battery would be just about what I'm paying, which is ridiculous in and of itself. But we're gonna go ahead and end this here. Talking about a third world country. I have a dog that keeps doing this. We're gonna end this here. Not you and I. We're not ending it. You and I are still gonna be together. Don't worry about it. What are you doing? Come here, you. You want to say hi? Oh. There you go. Gonna say hi? Say hi. Hello. This is Kelby. So we're gonna end the video, right, Kelbs? We're gonna end the video. Do you want to eat? Do you want to go potty? Do you want to eat? Go outside? Eat? Do you want to eat? Do you want to go outside and go eat? What do you want to do? Okay, well, I'm just going to sit you here then. Do you want to eat? Do you want to go potty? Do you want to go outside? Do you want to eat? Do you want to do? Do you? Do you? Huh? Do you? Do you? Do you? Tell me. You got to say it. Oh, I love you. Okay. I have a little thanks button. Let's see if he has one. Does he have one? No, he does not. The Austin School does not. So I have a little thanks button on the bottom. Some people say it's not there. Should be, but I don't know. But if you'd like to donate to the channel, you just click that button, throw out an amount. Anything's appreciated. And if you have requests, if you've donated, throw out some requests. Your donation takes those requests right to the top. If you don't want to donate, no harm, no foul. You still can request videos. It just takes a little bit longer. Most of the people who watch my videos aren't subscribed, so click subscribe. It's free. Give the thumbs up, thumbs down. It's illegal now in the States, and most around the country. You will be hunted down and brutally beaten to death with feathers. I think. I don't know how it goes. So until next time, have a good day. Have a good night. Who wants to go outside? Who wants to go outside? Do you want to go outside? You gotta tell me. Do you want to go outside? Do you want to go outside? Do you want to go outside? Okay, I'm gonna let him outside now. Have a good day. Have a good night.